All right, Cleveland Browns offensive coordinator Tommy Reese took the podium to address Shedeur Sanders' play and things of that nature. Now, all of a sudden, the goalpost is being completely moved and pushed back for Shedeur Sanders. Now it's, first it was, he's just throwing the ball deep downfield. He's just throwing the ball downfield. He's not checking it down. He's not going through his reads. Y'all was mad that Dylan Gabriel wouldn't throw the ball down the field. But you were mad that Dylan Gabriel wouldn't throw the ball down the field. Now you're mad that Shedeur Sanders is throwing the ball down the field to the point where you complained about it. And then he started doing check downs and he averaged 5 yards a throw. Now you're saying he don't throw the ball down the field. They continue to try to move the goalposts when it comes to Shedeur Sanders. We got to get to what Tommy Reese had to say about all of this. I don't think he's any help. He's no help. Tommy Reese needs to be fired too, just like Kevin Stefanski. Let's get into it.
Of his performance.
Yeah, started really strong. I think positives-wise, we knew coverage-wise how they play. There was going to be some opportunities to create with your legs when they're matching as much as they do in too high. I thought he did a really nice job there on a number of occasions. Was good in the pocket when he needed to escape. And then some of the action game when they were playing too high and matching coverage, either finding Q or finding guys underneath to keep the sticks efficient, was really a positive for him. I thought he felt, very comfortable throughout the game. Had a little bit of miscommunication on the first interception, and then just situationally aware on the second one of kind of how they're playing it, and just gain a 0 there is a good play, and let's move on to the next. But thought it was a step in the right direction. There's always, with a young quarterback, every new moment he gets is a new learning opportunity, and we talk about that. We talked about that on Monday, like situationally at the end of the game, and just all those different opportunities to learn and grow from and teach off of, to help all these young guys as they continue to go in their careers.
Specifically about the low average depth of target for Shedeur.
I can't hear you.
Sorry, I wanted to ask you specifically about the low average depth of target for Shedeur in that game, because normally we've grown accustomed to seeing him really pushing the ball downfield. But is that a game, like you said, like where you reviewed the film the day after and you're like, okay, we were pleased with the way you handled the coverage that you saw?
Buffalo was, I think, first or second in the league in early down passing, like first, second down pass defense. They were first or second in the league, and they put a lot of emphasis on their pass defense. They play a lot of too high coverage. They keep things top down by design. So, you're going to have to pick your spots to get the ball down the field. And, you call plays that the intent is to go down the field, and they play a coverage like we talked about a week ago where they dictate where the ball goes. And I thought his decision-making in those moments was really good and what you want. We had the one at Q that got us down to the 4-yard line. I think it was a gain of 16 when you check it down. We had another one on 2nd and 8 that got us 9 and got us a first down. Like, those are plays that keep you on schedule. We've talked about that all year, getting out of 3rd and long. Those are plays that keep you on schedule and allow us to have success on 3rd down. So, and then there's times throughout the game, there might be a couple of reps here or there where, hey, they're giving us a coverage where we can't attack it. Now let's go attack it. So, pleased with how he made his decisions, pleased with kind of the way they were defending and finding ways to continue to move the sticks that way.
You were talking about the first interception, the Q1. Did you say it was more timing than accuracy with Shedeur?
Yeah, I think just on timing, getting on the same page with how we want the route done versus that specific coverage, and just making sure that those guys, see it the same way to make sure that we are executing in that moment.
Obviously, on the field is the best experience. But how much does it benefit Shedeur going into this game that you guys have already gone over this opponent before? You played a game, and he had to prepare as kind of the backup for that game. How much does that help benefit him going into this start?
Yeah, I think it helps. The Steelers are not the same team as they were the first time we played them. Schematically, they're a little bit differently. Personnel-wise, they're a little bit different. Obviously, they have some new faces. They have some guys out. So there are some changes, but it certainly helps to know there's a familiarity with how they play, who their personnel is, how they set their front, the coverage tendencies they have. Like, there's certainly an advantage there for him to feel comfortable going into an opponent that we've prepared for and that we've watched film on for a week and that he's familiar with.
Is the schematic differences primarily because of TJ being out?
No, I think teams always kind of evolve throughout the year, right? Who you are in the middle of the year, early in the year is probably different than who you are down the stretch. And, they've done a nice job of finding new wrinkles, new complements, matching their wrinkles to who their personnel is. Obviously, Watt's a great player, and you got to account for him. But they have other guys that have been in and out, or new guys on the team that present different challenges.
How have you seen his decision making improve in the 5 starts he's made?
Yeah, I mean, I think Sunday was a great example of it, of finding opportunities to, let the play out against the defense that's called by them. I mean, I think when you look at a defensive structure and you have a play called, like, so much of the quarterback position is solving the problem and having the answer quickly, and you saw him process that information and get to his answers on time, which allowed us to be efficient.
As a coach, how do you navigate maybe the ebbs and flows, the progression and regression from a rookie?
Your focus is so much on their development. Your focus is so much on the process of getting the best out of them every day. You really don't go through the emotional roller coaster. You just focus on the process. You don't focus on the result as much as, all right, are our eyes in the right spot? Are we doing the things that we've been coached to do or asked to do? And if you're doing that, then you're on the right direction, which our guys have done for us. The results haven't always been what we've wanted, but we really try to focus as much on the process as we do on the end result, which, takes a lot of the emotion out of it. You're looking at it through a very specific lens.
What are some of the next steps you would like to see him take? He's only got 2 games left, so what are the next steps you would like to see him take specifically against the Steelers, and does he have to worry a lot about the whole batted pass thing this game?
Yeah, I just think continue on the right progression that he's on right now. Continue to make good decisions. Continue to focus on the areas that we're asking him to do. Find ways to move the football. Find ways to score points. That's the quarterback's job. But to put expectations and put those on him, we're just looking for good progression and making sure that each week there's improvement. Each week we're building upon what we've done, and again, find ways to score points and move the ball.
Shedeur has talked a lot about the why, like really understanding the why he's making certain decisions, and he talked about like that 4th and 2, where I think the Bills like rotated from cover 2 and they kind of buzzed somebody down. Just when you look at that 4th and 2 where he got sacked, what could have been different as a whole with that operation?
Yeah, I don't want to go into the specifics on the 4th and 2 schematically, but I do think for young players, especially at the quarterback position, as you can unravel the why behind things, it allows you to play faster. It allows you to solve problems quicker. It allows you to make decisions pre-snap. They presented a coverage, and there's a why there, and there's a way for each play that you call of like, hey, how can we simplify our thoughts as much as we can pre-snap so that we can play quickly? And I think that's the why that you're after all the time. And there's going to be times where the picture changes, and there's going to be times where you got to get to 2 or 3, but one of our constant goals in that quarterback room is, okay, if we call a play, this is what we're trying to attack, this is why we're designing it this way, and here's your counter if it doesn't go that way.